Good afternoon, everybody. I think the hardest part about being here is not talking about climate. The hardest part is standing on this stage. I remember a few years ago, I participated in a debate competition where my mother was the principal of that particular school, and my father was sitting right there, and I completely blanked out. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I forgot whatever little I had prepared. And since then to now, I still fear coming on the stage, even though I do it on a daily routine. My name is Navya Singh. I tell climate stories for a living. And I have a beautiful story to share with you, which is my story. I did my 11th and 12th from a place called Mongpong. Has anybody heard of it? Mongpong is in North Bengal, a place where my school was about 70 kilometers away, one way. So I used to travel 140 kilometers. My father was in the army. He was posted there. He was leading an independent unit. And I had no chance, I had no other option but to go to that school. That's how I did my 11th and 12th. Quite interestingly, my road to the school passed through an elephant corridor, something that was quite annoying to me at that point of time, because every time an elephant crossed the road, we would have to wait, we would get late for the school, and there was just a lot of chaos. So I did not really have a mainstream 11th and 12th where I had malls to look at, or shops to look at, or beautiful places to look at. I was living in the middle of a forest. Later, when I went to the same place a few months ago, there were no elephants. My point is that I did not start my journey talking about climate. I did not grow up wanting to save the planet. I grew up telling these stories now only because a part of my world and a part of my childhood disappeared. Mongpong now does not have a lot of elephants because of rapid urbanization, because of construction, because of so many things that humans have done there. And we wish to change that with the stories that we tell. A lot changed after I started observing things around me. I don't know a lot about dance, but I do know that traditional dance forms use a lot of mudras. These mudras depict nature. They depict the movement of birds, the communication of animals, the flow of rivers. And that's how I started identifying that sustainability and climate is everywhere around you. Something as simple as Vastu Shastra. Has anybody heard of it? It's an idea that is often told to us that it's a fear-driven superstition, that if you don't place your furniture a certain way, it's not going to do good for you. But actually, Vastu Shastra is the most sustainable way of living, deciding where the light enters when you live in your home, where the ventilation is supposed to be. And that's exactly what caught my attention, and that's how I entered this beautiful domain, sustainability and climate action. Today, I run a newsroom that talks about solutions, that talks about ancient wisdom, that talks about this beautiful country, Bharat, and the kind of solutions that we have. I started off with mainstream media. I did a lot of stories around politics, defense, women's safety, so on and so forth. There's so much happening in this country all the time. I lived with deadlines. I reported hundreds of stories on an everyday basis, got a lot of followers, got a lot of validation, got a lot of people stopping me at airports, requesting for pictures. But even then, something felt empty. And that was only because I wasn't telling stories that could create an impact or change anything in anybody's life, which is why I left a newsroom and built my own. Today, we talk about climate action. We talk about solutions that we can do on an everyday basis. And they're beautiful stories from around the world. I was born in Jodhpur, in Rajasthan, where homes are usually blue in color. Anyone knows why? It's because we use limestone and indigo to keep the homes cool during summers. It's a beautiful tradition. It's an ancient tradition. But somehow, it does not happen anymore, because now everybody wants their homes to look Instagrammable. We want them to look concrete. We want them to look beige. We want them to look very aesthetic. So it's no longer blue. We did a story on this, and we thought there was immense potential to change the narrative, to tell people that let's go back to ancient wisdom. It does not just belong in history books. To now where homes in Jodhpur are actually being repainted blue. And that's the kind of impact we've been able to create. There are several such stories. There was a 200-year-old banyan tree in Goa that was cut to make way for a highway. So suddenly a tree that was there for 200 years was labeled as something in the way of development. So the authorities decided to cut it down. And we spoke about the benefits of that particular tree. We spoke about how that one tree could prevent soil erosion, could prevent floods. Goa is not used to the idea of experiencing floods, and that's exactly what happened in that area just months after that tree was cut. Those are the kind of stories we want to talk to you about. My organization talks, as I mentioned, a lot about solutions, a lot about ancient wisdom. And the reason I started doing this, as I mentioned, was because I saw a part of my childhood completely disappear. And now I travel with my team to all of these places to bring out these stories. I started off independently, where I was the anchor, I was the writer, I was the researcher, I was doing everything. At a time when young people were talking about work-life balance, I had none. I was reporting stories at 2 o'clock, editing the same video at 5 o'clock, and publishing without even knowing if anybody is going to watch it. And that's been my journey. To now, where we have a team of 9 people, and we talk about this one thing called climate. We're invited to rooms, events, conferences, where we initially thought climate would not be an important topic. Slowly, we're realizing as a country that climate is a part of everything that we wear, eat, buy, the kind of homes we live in, and I'm trying to simplify that conversation. As a team, we've been able to travel to multiple places, and I want to take this moment to tell you that Bharat is a beautiful country, and I'm obsessed with it. We recently traveled to a place called Gunjung, which is in Assam, and we learned about bamboo. We learned about how beautifully women are running local economies. It was unusual for me to see that. Women were doing literally everything, from serving at restaurants, to making things with bamboo, to farming, to running businesses. We traveled to Itanagar, which is in Arunachal Pradesh, and we saw a similar side of the bamboo economy there as well. If anybody is from Uttar Pradesh here, you would know there's a place called Devariya, where you get a beautiful rice variety, local rice variety called Kala Namak rice. And ever since I've been introduced to that rice variety, I've been obsessed with it. It's a rice variety that's low on glycemic index and great for Indians as such. So we've been able to bring out these stories where we're trying to tell people that our dependency on foreign goods, on goods and grains that have been introduced to India that are not natively Indian, need to go away. Basmati, for example, a rice that has been destroying Punjab's land. Why are we consuming that when we have beautiful local varieties? Why are we not talking about local grains? Why are we not talking about India's traditional wisdom, Indian fabric? Where did that wisdom go? What we realized in this journey is that traditional wisdom and ancient wisdom is often considered something that belongs in the past, that does not have solutions for your future, but that's not true. A lot of it is now repackaged and sold to us. Turmeric latte is haldi doodh. That's sold to us. Millets is now a big thing in the global market. It's always been a part of our diet. Makhana, I'm from Bihar, I understand the obsession with makhana. But how is it so big right now? And why are we not embracing it enough? These are stories that are waiting to be told, and there's so much to talk about in this country, India, when we talk about climate. Young people often ask me, what is climate change? And what is it that they can do? And I want to tell them that climate is not about conferences, it's not about policies, it's not about jargons that we use every day. It's about very simple things. Identifying the name of the tree outside your window. Do we know it? We identify brands and logos in seconds, but we don't know the names of trees around us. We don't know names of rivers around us. We don't know where our water and electricity comes from. And that's exactly where climate action begins. These questions need answers, and the answers lie in our history, in our knowledge, and what we understand about our planet. There are beautiful stories from different states, and every state has now slowly started taking pride in the kind of biodiversity that they have, in the kind of trees they have, the kind of cultures that they have. We recently celebrated Makar Sankranti, and we flew kites. Anybody here knows why do we fly kites? It's a part of the celebration, but it's also a beautiful blend where winter slowly gives way for spring. And the ancient knowledge behind this is that our elders always wanted us to be out in the sun after winter, spend time and do an outdoor activity, something that's become extremely rare at the moment in India. These are the things that we've stopped questioning. We celebrate festivals, but we don't know why we celebrate them. We don't know why we eat til during Lodi. And there are so many things that need to come back, that need to come out of our books, that need to come out of things that we considered lie in the past. And these are stories. I started a newsroom to bring out these stories, but not everybody has to become a journalist. Not everybody has to start a newsroom. When I left mainstream journalism, I wanted to look for a meaning, but I realized that I identified a responsibility, the responsibility of bringing out Bharat's story at a time when the world looks down upon India, saying that we're suffering so much because of climate change and we're only dependent on Western technology and innovation. We want to tell the world that we have solutions for the world and we can take on this entire challenge and we can lead the way forward. And that requires stories. While I run a newsroom, there is a lot that every individual and every Indian in this country can do. And that's bringing out their stories, stories that belong in their kitchens, stories that belong in their verandas, stories that you might have heard from your grandparents. And that is climate action. We've worked really hard to create and carve a niche for climate action at a time when news is only politics. News is only sensational news. News is only information that can either divide or create a controversy. And when I started a newsroom, I was told that a dedicated newsroom on climate is not needed in a country like India. It won't perform. To now, where every event, every conference that I go to speaks about climate change and talks about solutions, because now we're bearing the brunt. We want to go beyond headlines. We don't want to tell you that Himalayan floods are devastating different states. We want to tell you why they're happening. We want to tell you what can you do about it before it happens again. We want to talk about the impact of earthquakes. We want to talk about impact of cutting down trees. And these stories are not just from India. Very interestingly, we were approached by a group of farmers from Africa who told us that shea butter, something that a lot of people use in their cosmetics, is under threat in Africa. And we wanted to pursue that story, but not all stories, we can't really go on ground for all the stories. So we decided to produce these videos remotely. And we got in touch with locals. We spoke about what's happening in Africa, and we got to know that these trees were being cut because they were not profitable enough, whereas these trees sustain economies in Africa for local women. And we decided to do a detailed video and talk about why shea trees are important and why are they being cut to now, when farmers there are seeing a much better situation, and they've reached out to us because they've received monetary support from people who live in Africa who never knew about these stories. That's climate action for you. It's about solutions. It's about hope. It's about not focusing on doom and gloom and despair. It's about finding hope and solutions in a country like India and embracing it. Thank you.